What made you get the tattoos? How do you feel with the tattoos?
Firstly, just obsession with tattoo. People often say to me, why do you get so many tattoos? I say, well, why do obese people get so fat? They like food. Hell, I like tattoos to that same level.
How deep of a conversation are you willing to have?
Bro, we can go pretty deep. I was prepared to sacrifice everything to see how far I could take it. I started using heroin, and by the age of 17, I was like fully addicted, daily using, living in crack house. I was like, fuck it. I felt like I had nothing to lose and was fully into this self-destructive mode. And they literally just came to get the TV and left. And that stung. I was like, whoa, I'm completely alone. They're not my friends at all, you know. These people that I've gone through these 2 years of like hard times with, where I've lost my family.
All right, welcome to One Story Psychology. Dude, I'm super excited to chat with you. I saw you randomly and I was like, I got to talk to this guy. I was super fascinated with your tattoos. And honestly, the reason I was fascinated because I feel like it caught my attention. I didn't judge you, but I thought something differently for a second. And I had to just do something that I honestly felt uncomfortable to do. It was just like ask you like, what made you get the tattoos? How do you feel with the tattoos?
Yeah, it's obviously come to my attention. It's quite a striking aesthetic. You know, I'm reminded of that constantly. What drove me to do it is like partly obsession. You know, there's a few factors. Some of them are quite trivial. Some of them might have some maybe deeper psychology behind it or something. But firstly, just obsession with tattoo. You know, I often say to people who often say to me, why do you get so many tattoos? I say, well, why do fat people get so fat? Why do obese people get so fat? They like food. Hell, I like tattoos to that same level where I was prepared to sacrifice everything to see how far I could take it with the tattoo experience, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point because like people can all have their own obsession in different ways. In your obsession, let's say, is tattoos, but people see it almost like abnormal. People may look at your tattoos as more abnormal than somebody who gets fat.
True.
So like how do you feel when you first got these? How did you feel going in a public setting to be seen differently than everybody else?
I mean, it was quite a slow progress. I got quite a small tattoo on my face at first, and typically it wasn't really acknowledged. You know, it's just like, okay, I got a small tattoo on my face. A couple of people, oh, yeah, that's cool. But most people didn't really look at me like how they do now. You know, so it's quite a slow progress. In England, when there was a few small tattoos, the only negative responses I had were from sort of like, I don't know how to refer to these people, like sort of like street hoodlums, you know, because they get like a lot of face tattoos and get gang related stuff. So they've sort of like mentally claimed it as their identity or their culture. So a few guys would be like, what do you think you're doing doing this? What are you? What are you? Like, that only happened a handful of times back home. Yeah. But mostly it's just people being like, oh, that's cool. And not people you'd expect, like old ladies at a bus stop. This old lady at a bus stop was like, wow, it's so cool. I'm glad people are doing something different and not just following the norm. Or like a mum with like her little kids and the kids like, oh, look, this guy's got face paint on or something. And then the mum will like, oh, like quite progressive thinking, parenting is like, oh, well, let me introduce the kid to this person so they get information and it's not just some unknown thing to them. So which are nice opportunities to connect to people I may not have otherwise spoken to. Yeah. That's been one positive response for me.
So how have you developed the mindset to do what's not normal? Because a lot of people are afraid to be abnormal.
True. Yeah, maybe it's the way I grew up, you know. I've always been sort of, I don't know, a bit of an outsider. Not that people didn't like me. Like at school, I could chill with the popular kids, but I could also chill with the like super nerdy outcasts that no one wanted to speak to, or I could chill with like the class bully, or I could chill with like the sports guy. Like I could just sort of float around and get along with anyone. But the things that I've always liked have just always been different, you know. Like, I think of it like this. Like most people, they'll see a pair of Nike shoes and be like, oh yeah, I want those shoes. That's cool. And there's a general consensus of like, this is a cool thing. And a lot of people like Air Force Ones, for instance. They might want a different color or this version of that. Personally, it's never appealed to me. The kind of aesthetic or fashion that I've always gone towards, it's something completely different. I've drawn my influences from complete other places other than like pop culture, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because they did a study to figure out, okay, what makes somebody the most popular individual in a high school? And people have always thought, well, it's the best athlete or it's the best, school grades or just somebody who knows everybody. And the study concluded that the most popular ones are the ones who are able to fit in different environments with different types of culture and different types of people. And that's because those people, they give the most comfort to all different types of people. And so I feel like, again, I don't even really know you that well, but like, I feel like your energy is just a level of comfort for a lot of people. And I feel like a lot of people may judge you before they even know you. And has that ever gone into your mind of like wondering based on somebody's reaction of like, they grab their kid, right? They hold their kid back from you and they don't even know you. Like, have you had that?
Yeah, sure. I've seen like old people like clutch their bag or like cross the road, or people act very scared. I've turned the corner once and this guy jumped back and he's like, it was in Nepal. And this country, tattooing in general is quite a new phenomena. And this guy was like, he literally said to me, "Are you a ghost?" I was like, dude. And again, some kids another time, they ran past me and were like, "Oh my gosh, it's Ghost Uncle." That's what they said in Nepali. They called me Ghost Uncle. So I don't know. I think it can shock people in quite a negative way sometimes, unfortunately. But, that's beyond my control now.
Yeah. So how deep of a conversation are you willing to have?
Bro, we can go pretty deep, I can talk more about this psychology of being different.
Okay, because I want to hear this.
That goes quite deep. I've thought about this quite a lot, I've reflected. I think a lot of it comes from home environment, family, My mom, my grandparents were like super upper middle class, came to England as immigrants and didn't quite work out for them quite well for whatever reason. And my mom and me, we ended up growing up pretty poor. But my mom still maintained these very like middle class values and sense of like, we're not like the people in our immediate community. There was like a lot of like robbery. Like I got robbed when I was 8 years old, first time, immediately outside my house. Yeah, just being outside my door, guys came up to me and like robbed me. It's just like the norm in the environment we grew up in. And my mom was like scared to let us out already. And after that, it's like she didn't want me going outside unless it's to go to school. And so I felt like I was in this sort of psychological paradigm of like, okay, I'm different to the people I'm immediately surrounded by, And again, it reflected in other things like at school, I preferred like my parents' taste in music to like what my school friends liked. And then that evolved into me exploring many different sort of musics.
Wait, so you liked what the music was at your parents?
Yeah.
Really?
I was listening to old music from like the 70s and 80s, and everyone else was listening to like Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls.
That's so funny because...
From young, yeah.
Yeah, because young. Like you would think that like when you're growing up, right, if you listen to what the music is that your parents listen to, you're weirdo.
Yeah.
You gotta listen to what your homies listen to.
Yeah.
And the fact that you liked what your parents listened to.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, anyways, carry on to that. Cause I've never heard that before.
Yeah. But that's funny. It's actually one time it was, people give me a hard time for it sometimes, but one time this, like I said, you said about this popular thing. I was listening to like this punk rock band on like a cassette player or something, it was in the days of cassette players still. And then one of these really popular kids that I'd hang around with, he's like, "What you listening to?" He's like, "Oh, that's crazy." And then he was like telling everyone, "We need to listen to this music." And then all of a sudden we were like with all these people that wanted to listen to the same music, like 20 of us. It was crazy how
that's insane.
Influenced temporarily a whole group of people.
Yeah. So being a misfit, like do you enjoy it? Do you like it? And I'm saying this because I feel like every human being at some point in their life, today, tomorrow, or before, have and does feel like a misfit in some way. For me, I've always felt like a misfit.
True.
Going through brain cancer, going through I always felt like my energy was just different. And I felt like as I've progressed in my years, I feel like I've been able to see the world through a different lens than what I was not able to see it back then.
True.
And so every time I develop my mind based on different experiences and the lens expands, I feel like I become more of a misfit.
Interesting.
Now I've accepted it and I'm happy with that. But a lot of people can see being a misfit as a misconception, as it's bad.
That's a
But I
misconception.
disagree. I think it's good. So how do you see it, or how have you developed that?
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that, you know, you going through brain cancer really pushed you to the outside or made you feel like, it makes sense now that you tell me, but I know you like to think that someone suffering with a terminal illness, everyone's going to come and be closer and support, but I guess the reality is quite different, really. Hey?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that there wasn't or is support, but it's more of like, oh, everybody's normal. Oh, I'm not.
Yes.
I'm a brain cancer patient guy, right? That's my label.
True.
And so, like, as I've developed over the years, that's kind of the label I have put on my own self, you know, and that is how I felt very different. But then not only with that of the brain cancer, it's linked to different thoughts. I have a different lifestyle. I have to eat certain food. I have to do this. I have to sleep well.
True.
Right? Constant, continuous growth. But then again, that's the positive, is that it's focusing on growth every day. So, yeah, I mean, for you, like, how, like, the misfit world, have you enjoyed it? Like,
I feel like it's paradoxal. What one teacher said to me, said like a mountain goat, is always up high on the mountain and it rarely meets another goat. And there's all down the bottom, all the other like field of sheep that are together. But when the mountain goat does meet another goat, it's way more fulfilling than the ones that are always in the crowd because they take it for granted. So I feel it's kind of like that. It's like maybe I don't connect with the whole group all the time. But I feel like when I do connect with people, it's a lot more authentic.
Yeah.
And it's like not so surface level.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's catch-22 because there's a certain element of like, oh, I'm different. It can be lonely in that. Or there can be periods of isolation. But it can also be much more enriching to have really deep, meaningful, authentic connections when they happen.
I could agree. I could heavily agree because it's like, I think I went through a stage where it was more about quantity of friends rather than quality.
Yeah.
Now, there's people who are watching this video that feel like a misfit as we speak, but they fear loneliness. Now, being alone, have you been able to master that? Do you enjoy that? Does it, like, what does that look like?
I've definitely come to terms with it a lot. Like in my younger years, I couldn't stay inside and be alone. I had to be out. I had to go find people to be with, you know, and I had to be with a crowd. Even if it was a crowd of misfits, I was always looking for people and this desire to be liked by many or to be part of a group or something. And then going through periods of strong aloneness, you know, felt very isolating and sort of like self-tormenting because a lot of it's like mental, you know, it's like, oh, I'm alone, oh, I need this, or I need this connection, or I need that, and the mind goes. And I feel like that's where the suffering comes from because these days I can be very completely comfortable in my aloneness, you know. I don't feel lonely in that how I used to.
Yeah, you're able to control your brain in a loneliness state. Back then, a lot of people, as soon as they're alone, their mind starts going into a million different directions.
Right.
And so they start losing control of their mind. But when they're in a public setting, the public setting is what controls their mind. And now it kind of numbs them.
True.
And when it numbs them, now they don't feel like they're alone.
Yeah.
But in reality, they're actually alone. So how have you been able to develop that? Is it meditation or like...
Meditation's contributed massively, a lot. I mean, having said that, I still prefer to meditate in a group.
Yeah, for sure.
Sitting.
Yeah.
It's like more fulfilling for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why. But I've done extended periods alone and in a group. And I don't know, I feel like being with people can be like motivating and a push, but it can feel way more rewarding achieving something completely alone as well.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Do you think it's because it's a battle of you versus you?
Possibly, yeah. It's like overcoming that, you know, achieving completely by yourself is quite a strong thing. You know, you've overcome all these distracting thoughts and desires to focus on what it is you wanted to do in that moment and not let these feelings of wanting something else dictate that moment.
Yeah, totally. Now, I don't know all the things you've been through, but what is the biggest thing that you've overcome in your life internally within your own self? Self-doubt.
Yeah. Maybe drug addiction.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me more.
I can tell you when I was about, well, from the ages of like 15 to 17, I started using heroin. And by the age of 17, I was like fully addicted, daily using, living in like crack house or whatever, or on the street between these kind of places. And to break free from that was a very strong alone period. I remember when I was getting clean, basically I got given a hand up from like, I'm from England, and we got quite a very strong social system. So when people are in that kind of trouble, there are a lot of ways out of it. And I was given a hand up, and I was like, I'm not going to take this for granted. You know, it was circumstantial how I got into drugs. I found myself homeless at 15. The day I got kicked out, I bumped into a friend who I'd known since I was like 13. We grew up smoking weed together, whatever. He's like, oh, let's go smoke together. But he's like, I don't smoke weed anymore. I was like, what do you smoke? He's like, heroin. I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm down. I've got nowhere to live. Like, I've got no job. I dropped out of high school. I was like, fuck it. I felt like I had nothing to lose and was fully into this self-destructive mode. And I spent pretty much 2 years with these guys and ended up living with them, like this whole group of like drug addicts and so on. And so there's a period when I was getting clean, a couple of weeks. I was taking like medication to help with withdrawals. I got placed into like a YMCA that were giving me housing and stuff. And these guys came to see me, yeah? I was so stoked. I was like, yeah, like you guys are my friends. But then they're like, no, we want that. They gave me a TV that they didn't want because this kid, like his dad gave him a TV for Christmas or something. I say kid, he was like in his 20s, but his dad gave him a TV for Christmas, and then out of desperation, they sold it for drugs. And they wanted this tiny little shitty old black and white TV that I had because it was his old TV. And they literally just came to get the TV and left. And that stung. I was like, whoa, I'm completely alone. They're not my friends at all, you know. These people that I've gone through these 2 years of like hard times with, where I've lost my family for a period of time and been isolated. I thought these people are like family to me. In moments, maybe it was true, but the drug overtakes so much that they had no interest really in connecting with who I was, because I was coming out of the world they were in, you know. So they didn't want me to remind them to come out of that unless I wanted to go back there, which I wasn't doing that. So that was quite a very isolating period. And I couldn't really connect with the people where I was living because there were other like, you know, troubled people living in the YMCA. But there's this sort of culture that if people find out like you use those kind of drugs, you just become a target for like bullying, you know.
Oh, really? Bullying? What do you mean?
Like if the other people who lived in the YMCA knew that what drugs I'd been using, they would target me and just bully me.
Okay, so we have the YMCA.
Yeah.
YMCA is a good place.
It's a good place, the organizers, but most of the people there are like troubled kids, you know, that were living there.
So then the troubled, okay, so it's almost like a jail. Let's just,
Almost.
That's a bad example, but like, okay.
Not far off it. There's a security there. There's a reception area. There's like a curfew where you've got to be inside. You've got to fulfill certain duties. Otherwise, you lose the housing.
Oh, wow.
It's like supported housing, it's called.
Wow.
So you have to tick certain criteria to be there, and you have to fundamentally follow a care plan. And if you show that you're like committed to it, then you can stay. If you start breaking rules and stuff, then they tell you to leave.
Wow. So what are some examples of bullying?
Bullying would be like, you know, certain people in there, let's say they might come from the same environment, but rather than take drugs, they sell drugs to people. So they see people who use drugs as inferior to them and lower down on this sort of hierarchy. So they will constantly ask you for things like ask you for cigarettes or ask you for money, or if you're wearing jewelry, they'll be like, oh, that's so cool, let me try it on. And then it's gone. And small things. And it can escalate if you like, you know, in this kind of environment, if someone takes advantage of you once, it's seen as a weakness, you know. And there's a saying, like, if you feed a cat, it comes back, you know. So if you give someone a cigarette or you give someone like money for some soda or something, they're going to keep asking. And if you keep giving, you're going to be seen as a vulnerable person, and people will take kindness for weakness in this environment for sure.
Wow, that's crazy. So how did you get out of that? How did you make that change?
The change from the drug addiction?
Well, essentially that. Like, do you remember a moment that was like, okay, I'm done?
Yeah, it was like when this guy I was working with, he's like sort of like a social worker, and I was like, look, dude, like, I mean, I'd been in trouble with the police, so they then referred me to this guy, He's sort of like, I don't know, like a guardian angel kind of guy. I don't know what to
Wow.
say. He's not a police person. He doesn't actually work for the government. He's like a support agent, but they're independent. They're charitable. So he was just like, look, dude, I can get you a place to live. I can get you back into college. He's like saying he can do all these things. I was like, dude, I need to get off these drugs. And he's like, I can help you. Like, and he took me to like a doctor that specializes in like kid. Because I was a kid, you know what I mean? I was under 18. They specialize in getting kids off drugs. And yeah, I was like, dude, I've just got to do it. Because I could see like some people in the so-called friendship circle I was in, they were like in their 40s, dude.
Mm.
I was like, if I stay here, I'm going to lose like 20 years of my life and be like them. And there was just like a spark, you know, I don't know what it is, but there's always been a spark that even when I've been in a shitty situation, there's something that pulls me or guides me that knows like, no, this is the path you should be going in. He's like, okay, I've gone off this detour into darkness, but there's something in me that knows like, no, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, I always had this desire to better myself, you know.
Do you think it's like a god, an energy?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I feel like the best term for me is like a higher power.
Okay.
I feel like there is a higher power, and I've been privileged enough to have some sense of it since I was quite young. And it's not always there, but when it does speak to me, I think like, I got to listen to this. I feel like it can manifest as an internal feeling, or it can come through an external messenger, like this guy who's like, look, I can get you out of here. And it just struck a chord with me. I was like, yeah, I want to get out of here. Let's go. And I took it seriously. I was like, okay, if I commit to this path, I'll go into a better place. And like, again, to meditation, same thing. When I found that, I was like, okay, I see where this path leads. I see people who've been doing this for 20 years and they're in a really good place. I want to be like these people. And something's helped me align into that direction more, you know.
What level of addiction were you at? Like, and I'm saying this because look at like, let's say like San Francisco, there's literally people who are seen as like zombies. Like that's how addicted they are. So like what was your level of addiction?
Say zombie level is like level 10. And like, you know, your average person who comes home and drinks every day is like at level 1 of addiction. Because, you know, most people don't even call that an addiction. Oh, he just likes a few beers. But in reality, you take those beers away, he's going to throw a tantrum. I was probably at maybe like level 3, 4. I don't think I was that far gone, you know. Like people around me were starting to like inject drugs. I never injected. I always like smoked the drugs that we were taking. And I feel like that's a big bridge to cross because of the intensity of the high. So the people in my immediate circle were starting to take their drugs intravenously. I was like, okay, if I cross that bridge, it's funny. At the same time, these two options came to me. It's like, okay, you start taking your drugs on like the more hardcore level, because people come up with these things. Like, oh, you waste it by smoking it. You're better off like inject it. It's a better high. You don't waste it. This was the logic. And there's this other path of like, you leave this whole life behind you and you become a new person, or you reclaim who you were 2 years ago and like get back on track of being a normal teenager that goes to college and looks for work and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you have to experience change, or you have to experience pain to truly desire change. And too many people wait until that pain happens to then change. And I don't wish this upon anybody, because I had to go through that. You had to go through that pain where now it clicked. It said, okay, I do not want to get pain to that level again. So because of that, I'm now ready to make that change. Now, based on kind of like your life experience, how much you've grown, everything, what is the craziest moment of your life that you remember?
Craziest moment? Wow.
Based on all your addictions, based on all change and environment and, you know, tattoos, like anything specifically.
Yeah, I mean, like when you say like the drug period definitely pops up as crazy, but crazy in a very dark, bad way.
Yeah.
Also, just like the way like now is a pretty crazy time for me, but in a good way. It's like,
okay, yeah.
Just like being able to like travel around like this and the people I meet.
What's the worst, the craziest bad moment and the craziest good moment?
Yeah. Craziest bad moment is probably like a whole series of events. I couldn't pick one that was worse than the other, but just being around. All right, I can tell you a really bad one, but it's pretty graphic. That I was in this drug house and there's this dude that was living there. He wasn't even taking drugs. He was like from some war-torn country, and he just ended up there because he's in a really bad situation on his own. And someone accused him of like using the bathroom in a bad way, like leaving it dirty in the bathroom. I don't think it was even him. And these guys just started like beating on him, but like beating him to a pulp. It was really bad. And like I was scared. I was so scared that they're gonna kill him. And they probably would have killed him, but I stopped. I stepped in. I was like, dude, you guys got to stop this.
Oh.
And I was scared because I was like, if I try and stop them, they could switch on me because these are like the drug dealers who've come to the house and they've just accused this guy of like pooping on the floor or something. And it wasn't even him. Like we all knew who it was and no one said anything. And they've accused this guy and they've started attacking him. And I just felt so bad for this guy. And I was like, it just felt like being in hell. It felt so horrible and dark, you know? And the level of violence was just like intense, man.
That's crazy.
That's intense. And I was scared. I stepped in. I was like, yo, stop. That's enough. Just let him be. Let him be. Like,
Wow.
He hasn't really done anything. Just let him be. And they were like angry. The first guy was angry at me. And then his like friend or whatever was like, okay, let's just go. I think the reality of what they were like, their hands are covered in blood. And they're like, okay, let's just get out of here, sort of thing. But that is crazy.
That's insane.
The sheer level of violence that I've experienced is pretty crazy in these circles. And
has it been traumatizing? Like, how has it affected you?
Yeah, I think, you know, it left me like very on guard for years being in these environments. Like, even if someone looks at me, I feel like threatened, you know. That's taken a lot of meditation and therapy and like unconditioning to just get back. Like living in like other countries like Nepal and Thailand where people are so friendly. Like if you look at someone in Thailand, they're going to smile at you instantly. They're just going to smile. Yeah. Or if you look at someone in the pub, you're like, oh, hi, where you from? Like, and the first time someone said that to me, what did he say? This guy said to me, oh, where'd you stay? I was like, why don't I know where I stay? I was so suspicious. I was like, if you ask that to someone in London, where I'm from, that's like, they're trying to investigate you to rob you or something. Yeah. Like, in the pub, it's just like, oh, where you staying? Like, where's your place? I live here. Like, it's just normal conversation, normal human interaction.
Yeah.
And I was just so built up with like aggression and violence and fear and suspicion, paranoia. It's taken a long time to really decondition from that, you know?
Yeah. And do you feel like it's gone, or do you still feel like you have that in a sense?
I can see it arising in me occasionally, like the very core root of it. But I don't react to it at all. It's
why do you think that rises sometimes?
I think part of it is just human nature, you know. We come from like tribalist societies. We come from how old civilization? 50,000 years or something? Like, even if you go back 10,000 years, people were still like living in tribal cultures everywhere. Even like 1,000 years probably, it was still quite a lot of war and stuff. So I feel like the neurological imprint of that is still very strong in a lot of people. So it's very easy to get pulled into this like tribalist way of thinking of like everyone's a threat or everything's a threat and need to be on guard. You know, I think an element of it is the human condition, but also part of our human condition is we can evolve out of that and live in harmony with ourselves. We can free ourselves of these thinking and just be at peace and not have to be on guard. We don't really live in the societies we choose to live in, like here and where I grew up. We don't have to be fearful all the time, you know?
Yeah, it's like a perceived reality. We're all living in the same circle, but we're all looking through different lenses. Yeah. And so because of that, there's different reactions based on different scenarios and different things. And this is what creates different sorts of energy exchange that goes around. True. And then now what happens is as time progresses, we're all experiencing the same thing, but our viewpoints of humanity is all different. And this is what either like has people create such a beautiful life that they love because of the lens they're looking through and they're changing their lens, right? Their past is creating a lens that has toxified them or traumatized them. And some people live in that forever. The other people take that old lens and say, okay, this is the old lens I've lived in. I now need to make a new lens.
Right, exactly.
So I can see the world in a completely different way.
Exactly, yeah.
So...
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say there aren't people in the world that aren't in threat. Clearly, there are places that are clearly dangerous to be in, you know?
Yeah.
So people need this drive. Some people need this alertness and they need this aggression to protect themselves. So it's a fundamental human drive. And like you say, I've been in an environment that was fairly aggressive or fairly hostile. Hostile is a good word. And so I've adapted to be in a hostile environment. And when I've come out of it, I was like, I don't need this adaptation anymore, but these habits are still there. So it takes a new lens to be able to see, okay, I'm not in this. and how do I break these habits, or how do I change these habits, you know? And that takes active practice, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier. Well, in the moment, it's easier just to be habitual and be like, okay, I've got these habits. This is who I am. Or make excuses like, oh, I've got this illness or something. I've got this disorder.
Yeah.
You know, I've got anger problems, and just say, I've got anger problems. Accept it. You know, I'm an angry guy. That's it.
Yeah.
Or we can say, I've adapted to see the world through a lens of anger. It doesn't serve me anymore. How can I go about changing it? And changing it's hard, but it makes life way easier. And staying in the habit is easy, but it makes life super hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think that every gang member or evil person that you've experienced has a good side to them?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So
I think so.
Tell me more.
I mean, like, I've been with people, and however, like, I met them was just like, I only saw a good side to them. And then after I found out this is a terribly feared person or terribly hated person, I was like, really? And when I've heard like, oh, they've done this or that, I was like, wow, shit, yeah. I wouldn't have guessed it, but they're hated by so many people. And
Wow.
I was lucky to see a nice side. Like, I've got an older sister, yeah, older like stepsister, and like she grew up with a guy, and he was like really like heavy into a lot of crazy stuff. But from the moment I met him, I was like his old friend's younger brother. So he was always sweet to me, nice to me, took care of me. He never showed me any negative qualities, but I saw how he treated other people. I was like, oh, whoa. Like, he would just go into intimidation mode if people even looked at him in the street. Like I said before, like for no reason, he would just like turn on people. I was like, wow. But he only showed me sweetness. I feel like I was probably like the 1% of people he would have been nice to in life, maybe. But then he was constantly going around charged and angry. I mean, that's one example, but I feel like I've met a bunch of people who are seen as negative or bad. And also intellectually, I like to think everyone's got a spark of goodness in them. As much as we've got these protective drives, we've got these loving drives in us, you know. I think that's also human nature, to want to be loved, to share love, to be happy.
Yeah, totally. I think everyone wants acceptance, they want significance, they want power, and they want love, right? And whether they want to express that or not, everybody wants that in different ways. Now, there's different things that people do to try and receive that. And I think that there are some good ways and some bad ways to try and receive that.
True.
Now, my question to you is, what do you think that what stimulates people to listen to their evil side more than their good side that you've seen, or vice versa? And how can they fix that? Do you think it's fixable?
I think to a degree it's fixable or changeable. I think there's many steps, you know. Acknowledgement, I feel like that's a big step. Acknowledging like, okay, I have this drive and there's another way. Or that I have this drive and I'd like to have a different drive, you know. I think why people have that drive is environmental trauma, you know. I don't think kids just come out and they're automatically angry, you know. I think they like to be happy and nice and share, but some life experiences pushes them to react with anger or to be angry or aggressive or whatever. So I think it's easier. Once this habit has developed, it's easy. I think that's it. It's just easy to constantly react to things, you know. People react out of something they want. I want this. Or they react about things they don't want. Like, I want to stay away from this. And so it's just constantly easy to react. And emotions arise. And it's so easy to react to emotions. It's almost impossible not to sometimes. When you're really in the depth of being controlled by your emotions, it seems impossible. In my experience, it seems impossible not to react. When I was a really angry person and some guy started like being aggressive towards me or being aggressive towards someone I saw as vulnerable, dude, I'd just kick off. Like, I would just kick off. I'd stick up for other people as much as I'd stick up for myself if I thought there was an injustice.
Yeah.
Like, I'd easily get triggered. So easily get triggered.
Yeah. Do you think it's like an emotional response based on how you've experienced that as well, or?
Yeah, I think so. It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I have a similar thing. I don't get mad often. I don't get emotionally worked up, but when I see people being taken advantage of, that is one thing that really pisses me off. And it's because I've been taken advantage of. And I know the psychology of the people who are taking advantage of other people. They're selling them a false dream, a false reality. And they know deep down in their heart, that's what they're doing. I've seen people even use their religion, their beliefs, to manipulate people, to basically selling them this false reality. And it's just so disgusting. And I'll never forget, I got scammed of $18,000 by a coach who sold me a false reality. He made a verbal written promise, didn't live up to anything.
Savage.
And it was just completely a hoax.
Yeah.
And these types of people, they let something like money control their own reality. They let money control who they really are. And they're falling more into the dopamine hit that money gives to them.
Exactly.
Rather than the real true reality of what life actually is. And that's why when people look at 1%, X, Y, and Z, right? Somebody who, let's say, has a Lambo, I'm not saying all of them, but somebody as an example, people look at it like, wow, they know it all. But in reality, you'd be so surprised. They hardly know anything. Yeah. It's because something like money controls them. Yeah. So
and I like what you said. It's the feeling. It's maybe not even the money. It's the feeling. So I think a lot of it is just sense. It's sense driven. We'll have feelings that arise within us, and that's how we act. Like I'm massively influenced with Buddhist teachings, basically.
Oh, okay.
Like we talked a bit about meditation when we met, right? So Buddhist meditation has sort of been the path that I've taken. I tried a bunch of stuff, I told you I got off the streets and then I got into like education again. I went to uni. I studied philosophy at uni, Western philosophy, because I was kind of looking for something like a higher purpose in life, some kind of meaning. I didn't really get it there. Western philosophy, from what I discovered, is more about how to write the perfect formula or argument about what you think, rather than actually giving answers about life. So it raised a lot of questions. So I went off on my journeys. I eventually found meditation. And then particularly Buddhist meditation is what helped me. And in that, the understanding is all our suffering is coming from our craving or our aversions. And what drives those is the sensations that arise within us. So before we say, oh, I want this candy, we have a feeling. We might perceive the candy and then a feeling arises. Or we smell the cooking and then we say, oh, that smells good, I want some. Or we perceive, oh, this guy's got loads of money, I want that money. And this feeling, this craving, I want that money, is coming to them. And they're so controlled by these sense desires, or these sensations that are arriving within them, that people plot and scheme and do crazy stuff, to deceive others and take what belongs to others and make it theirs.
It's so crazy. I think like everyone's got like a different dopamine level. There's like, can you tolerate a 20% dopamine hit? True. A 40%, 100, 200, right? So if somebody's at like a 200% dopamine, that means that they need to probably have an Instagram dopamine every day, an ice cream dopamine every day, True. A quick candy dopamine hit. True. And so the higher that it goes, the more that they need, which means the further they are away from the change, the further away they are from their actual desired reality. So each day is a progression to lower your level of dopamine that you need. And if you can get it from 200% to 100, 50, 30, 20, maybe 10, then that's where you can slowly make the change of knowing what your kind of true identity is. True. But if that doesn't get lowered, you're never going to be able to see through that lens of knowing your kind of true identity.
Never going to be content.
Exactly.
If you're not content with where you're at, you're chasing this high. Yeah. Then how can you actually go for what really serves you?
Exactly.
I get you.
It's basically like saying, it's like running, a marathon. Are you looking at the joy of finishing the marathon, or are you looking at how painful the marathon is going to be? The only reason people truly do a marathon is because they know the feeling it's going to give them at the end. True. But a lot of people don't do it because they're looking at how suffering is going to be, right? Which it is going to be, but they're looking at that moment of suffering. When if you look at it from the long-term lens, like that's how you can create that change.
Delayed gratification.
Exactly. So tell me, like, based on kind of where you're at, what was the best moment of your life that has like shaped you into who you are now?
It's really simple. Like the first thing that came to my mind then is being in a meditation center and meditating. This was like 10 years ago. And just, I came out and I felt so connected to like myself and everything around me. I felt really clear, just really just being content in the moment. I know it sounds like a cop out, but even like recently I was just like feeding the pigeons in this temple. I was feeding the pigeons. I was like, wow, this is like the perfect moment for me. Like I was just happy feeding these pigeons, and it's a small thing.
Dude, I mean, your ability to enjoy being bored is a super rare skill.
Yeah.
I think less than 1% of the population can understand that boredom and knowing how to really be bored is an actual skill. Because if you can be bored, if you can master boredom, then I think you can master and you can overcome anything that comes into your life. So do you feel like, based on who you are, do you feel more resilient? Do you feel more excited for life, or happy, or at peace? Because I think there's a difference between happy and peace. Like, what do you feel each day?
I feel totally at peace. But I also felt constantly driven or constantly guided to keep going on adventures and doing stuff and going places. It's like, I don't know, we talked about this guiding force, kind of what I refer to as a higher power. Like, I would be super content just to like stop traveling. I've been traveling consistently now for like the last 3 years. I would be super happy just to have a house and chill back and get up and go to work every day. But I'm being driven to constantly go on these journeys and given these opportunities and doors that keep opening, like, oh, go to China or go to Japan or go back to Nepal or go to Mexico. And these doors are just opening. I'm like, okay, I need to follow this power that has guided me through this darkness and brought me out of where I didn't want to be, has brought me to this moment. And now this same thing is guiding me to these places. As much as I could just be, okay, I'm done with this. I'm just going to take it easy and feed the pigeons. I feel like I'm kind of chasing the experience of life, you know, or following the experience of life and what's being given, and following the path of least resistance in a way. You know, a few years ago, I tried to settle down and have a house and have a nice ideal car and ideal job, and things just kept going wrong. It felt like this wasn't my path, you know. I was like, okay, what is my path? And it's like, okay, pack the bag and get back on the road. You know, that's what I was doing before COVID hit. During COVID, settled down, got everything nice, but it just wasn't aligning. You know, so many things were like saying, no, this isn't for you. So I'm back out here, like moving around, meditating in different places, on the go. So I feel like, yeah, this is a really crazy time for me now, because I feel like even now I'm constantly changing. You know, I keep doing like meditation retreats, yoga retreats, and I feel like it keeps cleaning my lens or changing the lens. And I feel like I'm changing faster now than I have been throughout most of my life.
Dude, yeah. I mean, traveling gives you new experiences.
True.
It's so crazy you say that, because I don't know what it is, but every single travel experience that I've ever had has changed my life in one way or another. Yeah. And something crazy has happened every time that has been totally unplanned. And so this is why my belief is that experience creates wisdom, while learning creates knowledge. And so it's tough. It's tough to just say like, all right, well, I'm going to go home, go home and be in my home for the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah. What's one crazy thing you could say you got from traveling?
I mean, dude, it really depends. Like I
got one that came to mind. Like one of the first times I went traveling, it was like, I think I was 19, and there was like some miscommunication around Christmas. Like I was dating a girl at the time. She didn't invite me for Christmas. My mom thought I was going to be at my girlfriend's and didn't invite me. So I was like, all right, I'm alone for Christmas. Like everyone's made plans and I'm not there. I was like, I just got a new passport. I was like, I'm just gonna go out of the country. I'm gonna see. Got online, saw there's like a bus that goes from London to Amsterdam, and it's like £9. That's like nothing. I was like, really? I was like, I'm going. So I went, and like after 2-3 days, I ran out of money. I was like, okay, I'm done. But I met these two twin brothers from New Zealand, and they were driving across Europe. They're like, come with us to Berlin. I was like, I don't know. I need to think about it. I've got no money. I don't know what I'm going to do. Dude, I went for a walk and I looked on the floor. I was like, what's that? Dude, there was like a rolled up bundle of like 400 euros.
Oh, wow.
In cash notes. Just rolled up on the floor. I was like, what on earth? I picked it up. I was like, yeah, not in a wallet, just the hardcore cash. I was like, dude, I'm going with these guys. Like, what can I say? And then the journey went on for a few weeks. And I just ended up in the south of Spain, from northern Europe, ended up in the south. And I was talking to my girlfriend. She's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't just like disappear and live on the beach. I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, it's beautiful here though. I was like, come. So she came and met me, for a couple of days. She's like, yeah, but I'm taking you home. We're going back. So she took me back. But this crazy little like 2-week trip, 3 weeks, something like that, it just gave me such a taste for like this journey and being on the road and traveling around. So that was pretty crazy for me,
Wow.
That really helped me break out of the box and like start tasting outside of my small England perception.
Yeah, you went from a small circle lens. You didn't see anything outside this little circle, and then now you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you just saw a whole different perspective,
And like finding the cash, and these guys offering me a ride. And it's like one of the brothers, he was working in the town that I grew up in. It was just like pure chance. And his brother just come from New Zealand to meet him for Christmas. And it's just,
that's crazy.
So many synchronicities were happening,
Yeah.
And I find this, when we step into the sort of unknown, things like this do just arise. I don't know if you've experienced this.
100%.
Right? Crazy synchronicities, unexplainable coincidences. And you say, oh, it's just a coincidence. But when it happens like 20 times in a week, that you bump into your childhood friend up a mountain, or you find a bunch of cash, or you save someone's life that fell off a boat, that's crazy things can happen. And it's like, it's unexplainable, but it's part of the journey.
It's insane, dude. I mean, like the things that it's so funny because the world is massive, but then you go travel and you experience all these things. The world almost becomes smaller in the context of like, you remember what happened over here. You got a connection over here. This happened and he knows him and her. And then it's like this kind of small world that like everybody knows everybody in some way. And it's kind of unexplainable. And people are like, how do you have so many connections? How do you know so many people? I'm like, I just go and do stuff, and I take risks and talk to random people and just see what happens. And ever since I've done that, it literally changed my entire life.
Yeah.
But you can't fear rejection. Like you cannot fear that. You cannot take it personal. Like when I went up to you, honestly, I was a little like nervous. Like
True.
I didn't know what to think. And so I was like, shoot, I don't know if this guy's going to say yes or no or whatever. I have no idea. I don't know who the guy is, but I did. And look, we're here now on a podcast. It's crazy. Yeah. But I think like, I don't know, man. I think there's just some wild stuff that have happened to me on traveling. Oh man. Do you want good or bad or both?
Go for one of each. Why not?
Okay. So
start with the good.
All right. So, I mean, one good thing I would say is like, I've spent a day with the world's tallest man, the world's smallest woman. I watched 2 live brain surgeries happen. Oh, wow. So day in the life of a brain surgeon, day in the life of conjoined twins, day in the life of an ex-murder convict, day in the life of a guy who almost got murdered, day in the life of twins who married twins who had twins, and day in the life, and then day in the life of parents who have over 11 kids.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and then day in the life of a North Korean survivor, day in the life of a woman who went to space. It's kind of endless, but I think one of the most memorable ones was the day in the life of conjoined twins. It's 2 men in one body. So they have 2 heads, 4 eyes, 2 hearts, 4 arms, 1 stomach, but 2 hearts, 1 stomach, 1 genital.
Oh, damn, they got to share that.
Yes, and 2 legs.
And 2 legs.
And I think like seeing from that lens was just insane. I genuinely could not process it because like, and the funny thing is they had 1 girlfriend.
And 2 personalities as well?
Well, but that's a good question because you can say it's 2 different personalities, but wouldn't it be the same? Because they've literally only experienced the same thing. So they have 1 gut, but 2 different brains. So they're like so in sync. They're so in sync that we're driving in the car and 1 is on the steering wheel. 1 is doing the brake and the acceleration because they have 2 legs. Think about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They have 2 legs,
but 4 arms.
4 arms and 4 eyes and 2 heads. So how do they truly know when to stop, start, turn, this and that? And I just literally closed my eyes and said, this could be my last moment. But they were the best drivers ever. And like, They're some of the nicest dudes I've ever
Cool.
met. And like their parents disowned them when they were born.
That's savage.
And just like, we don't want these things. And then now they became so famous and popular that now they tried to reclaim them back.
Yeah.
And it's bad. But no, they're awesome. I think one of the craziest things, I mean, it's been multiple. I was flying on a plane from, I think it was like Dubai to India, somewhere in that, I forget, maybe not. I think it was like Europe to India. And I don't know if you've ever had a seizure, if you know what a seizure is.
Yeah, I have actually.
You have had a seizure?
Yeah, I got like a metal plate around I got beaten up once.
Really?
And I ended up having seizures for almost like 6 months to a year after. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Did you have to have brain surgery?
No. It's a whole nother story, but me and my mom have similar initials, and it actually got put on her medical record. And we found out years later that she was going for all these brain scans and stuff, and it was meant to be me going.
Oh wow!
She applied for like life insurance, and she got refused because she's like, "Oh, you had this accident like years ago." She's like, "That wasn't me. That was my son."
Oh.
And she's like, "Well, you had all this treatment for it." And she's like, "Really?" She was getting treated for something I was supposed to be treated for.
That's crazy.
It just went away on its own. It just went away.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
It is. It's fortunate.
Yeah. Okay. So that stuff,
But
yeah, it was really scary. But I was on a plane and like I heard a voice and I immediately turned my head and I heard a voice again, turned my head and boom, it just started seizing on the plane. And so suddenly I woke up and I was sitting in the aisle. This lady was sitting next to me on the window and I looked to my left and she was gone. And I was like, whoa, what the? I was like, where did she go? And they were like, hey, you just had a seizure. She had to get up. And I'm like, how did she just suddenly get up? And she was not fit. She was overweight. And she got up just to get out of the way of the seizing moment. I still can't even understand how that happened. So anyways, they took the plane and they landed it in Romania, which was not the planned destination. So they did an emergency landing.
That's cool they did that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. But I still didn't know what was happening.
You didn't know what the hell was going
so
on.
they called 911 to say, hey, we're immediately going to need an ambulance right here on the runway. I'm in Romania. Okay. They bring a stretcher onto the plane. They're running through the plane and they throw me on the stretcher. And I don't know what country we're in. I have no idea. So they throw me out of the stretcher, throw me straight on the runway. Still don't know where I'm at. Don't know what's going on. I'm thrown into the ambulance, going in the ambulance. Now on the runway, 80 miles an hour. Now we're on the highway. Now on the highway, we're going 80 miles an hour. I still don't know what country I'm in. And as you know, when somebody immediately stops, the other person's going to have to immediately stop and immediately stop. Mm-hmm. So it created this snowball effect. And suddenly we rear-ended all these cars in front of us in the highway. So now we're stuck in the highway. Now there's crash after crash after crash. So everybody in the ambulance gets out to go help the people that we just crashed into. And I'm laying in the stretcher in the highway of this country that I don't know where we're at. I have no idea. And I mean, come to find out, everything's fine. It was just kind of a dehydration sort of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it wasn't a consequence of the brain cancer.
No, I mean, I could be more susceptible to it based on, having had surgery, but there was nothing like negative. But when you're at that high of an elevation, the pressure is much higher, meaning like if you're not hydrated, if you're not properly rested up, you could be more susceptible. But
it's crazy. It's like you had a seizure and just got thrown into a completely different reality.
It was insane. Yeah.
It's like you just hopped into a different dimension.
And I'm in this Romanian Romanian hospital.
Hospital, yeah.
Just then like, it was all fine. And then I explained what the verdict was of like how my health history and like, this, that, did an MRI. They're like, yeah, everything's fine. So then they're like, all right, well, you're good to go. So I'm thinking, go where?
Yeah.
So I just walk out of the hospital.
The airplane wait for you.
I walk out of the hospital with like a ripped up shirt and looking homeless. And I'm just walking on the streets of Romania and plane's already taken off to the next country. Yeah. It's so crazy.
That's nuts.
So, but yeah.
Did they get your bag off the airplane or what? I don't know.
Yeah, they did. So like, thankfully they had like a car come deliver it to, the hotel that I had like gotten to. But yeah, that was just more of like a wow,
Yeah.
boom, new reality in
Yeah.
seconds, you know?
Sudden. That is so crazy.
Yeah. But so based on like, okay, based on you, what is going to be the next chapter of your life? Is that unknown? Are you in a relationship? Do you want to get into a relationship?
I'm unsure on that. You know.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I'm in this phase of doing a lot of meditation. So I sort of had like a business partner kind of.
Okay.
Like we were friends for like 10 years and we worked together. He had a tattoo shop. I worked with him in the shop, managed the shop a bunch. He'd go away traveling around. I'd take care of the shop. We did that for a few years. It was a good thing. For whatever reason, we drifted apart. And so I've just sort of taken this time now to throw myself back into meditation, because that's what led me into tattooing. You know, I got into meditation. Before that, I was kind of like, I dropped out of doing a philosophy degree to go traveling, and even with a philosophy degree, it doesn't speak a bunch in any field. I didn't really have a trade. I got into meditation, and very quickly after, I got into a tattoo shop and started tattooing, and that just opened a whole bunch of doors for me, you know. And so I really went along with that journey for a long time, being involved in that, and sort of let go of my meditation practice, or being so heavily involved in meditation. So I feel like now I'm not at that studio anymore. I've taken the last few months to really fully immerse myself in meditation and take it as far as I can go. So I've been doing really long retreats. I just finished a 55-day retreat, averaging like 14 hours meditation a day, no talking, like one solid meal a day, like pretty hardcore meditation. I'll be doing that again for like the next month here in Bali, going to another center there. And I've got a pilgrimage planned in Japan to go around this one island. It's like 88 Buddhist temples. I'm going to go around there. So I'm in like a strong period of reflection, I'd say. I've got a vision. I kind of got a vision for like a nice home.
Really?
Yeah, that could be alone, with or without a partner, or it could be with a group of people. I'm not sure how it's going to manifest, you know. I helped him manage a meditation center some time ago, and they gave me a lot of insights, and it really snowballed in a good way very quickly, from being a few of us that just rented a house to having like, you know, 20 guests daily that we had to care for and feed and teach meditation to. So I've seen how quickly it can snowball with the right intention. So for me, it's working out where I want to settle. That's a big, where it's easy for me to settle, because I know a bunch of cool places, but then there's so many like intricacies of legalities and finances that will be involved in that. So yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to manifest yet.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I feel like you don't stress. Like, do you stress much? Like, do you ever have anxiety?
Yeah, but not about like life things like that. Like,
Okay.
like I feel like I surrendered to a higher power for certain things a long time ago. Things that stress me out are like more, I guess, interpersonal relationships.
Okay.
Like things still like skeletons that have fallen out of our family's closet from back in the day, and dealing with that, and social interactions. I'm quite an introverted person, really. I've got quite a loud presence,
Okay.
but my default mode is pretty introverted. So I can get like social anxieties often.
Really?
Yeah. But in terms of, yeah, like worried about what's next, like I've come from nothing, like being on the streets with nothing, and built up to having something. So I feel like whatever life throws at me in terms of materialism or basic necessities, I'll always be okay, you know. And even when I wasn't like in the real bad streets, drug addiction phase, that's general backpacking. You know, I've struggled fallen on hard times backpacking, like missing flights, or like losing my phone, and you know, just crazy people come out of nowhere that want to help you, or give you a place to stay, or buy you lunch, or be like, oh my gosh, you missed the plane, let me help you, or you lost your phone, yeah, sure, come back to our house, we'll take care of you. I had people in Ireland. This one guy saw me. You know, I got completely lost in the Irish countryside. I'm walking with a suitcase in the countryside of nowhere because I made a bad choice of getting the wrong bus to nowhere. some guy's driven past me, stopped, turned around. He's like, where you going? There's like nothing around here. I was like, I'm trying to get to this place. He's like, you're walking the wrong way, kid. And it's going to take you like 6 hours. So he just drove me like pretty much an hour to this town I was trying to get to that had a train that would take me back to Dublin. And obviously I got there and it's like 1 a.m. or something and there's no trains. And this guy's just looked out his door and been like, there's no trains, kid. Like, you better come sleep on my sofa.
Wow.
And just helped and like fed me, taken care of me. So I've literally been in the middle of nowhere, you know, on a rural country path, and people have helped me get to somewhere and taken care of me, you know.
That's crazy.
I just feel like, I don't know, I've got a strong belief in a higher power. And I feel if you conduct yourself in a sense of strong morality, that will attract good things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't explain it. And I'm not particularly religious in that I would say, oh yeah, this is a Christian God or this is a Buddhist God. I don't know what it is, but I've experienced something, some guiding force that takes away a lot of these anxieties for me, I think.
No, I'm totally with you. I totally agree. Yeah. I think my question to you is, what makes you feel like you have social anxiety? You know, is it like an insecurity, or is it just you've never been social, or like what do you think is causing that?
I don't know. I think communication issues. I don't know. It's ironic because I realize when I just like be myself and stay quiet and don't like try to connect with people, things just naturally manifest in a good way. Yeah. I can still feel myself at times. Like even like, I'm going to a meditation center that I've been to a bunch of times before, that they've even left me the keys to manage the place while everyone else was around, because there was like one monk there and they needed someone to feed the monk. So like, Marco will do it. But still going there, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get there and I'll be like, okay, I don't know what to say to people. And I'll just sort of like have some anxiety arise about that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Has it always been like that, or?
Pretty much always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I can remember like my first day at kids' school, like the small school. And yeah, even then, like I didn't know really how to connect to people. I mean, it's been suggested I'm somewhat neurodivergent, but I don't really go into that too much.
Yeah.
I was screened for it once, but they've got to do several tests or whatever, but I was like, I'm not really, I don't want a label or anything. If there is a thing, I don't feel like it impacts me to a level that I can't succeed in the world. So I just don't feel like I wanted to go in that way anyway.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. I feel like everyone's brain is hardwired differently, even based on like birth. So one example is that this one kid told his dad, I want to kill somebody. Like, I want to murder this guy so badly. That's nuts. And his dad was like, why is my child thinking like this? He's a good kid. Yeah. He could never figure it out, but he's a neuro-oncologist. So he did a dissect of what this is. They did an MRI. They then got a surgery. After the surgery, based on tweaking up some parts of his temporal lobe, they came back and he never had a single desire to want to murder anybody ever again. Oh, wow, that's his nuts. Complete brain changed. Yeah. And it was all just because of one tweak in his brain, which is so interesting. And now when I look at that, I'm like, okay, that one tweak of his brain went from wanting to kill somebody to now completely normal. Yeah. So the question is, like, are these thoughts in people's brain or the way that they're built around their personalities, is that a genetic thing, habitual thing, or is it all of it? Yeah, it could be, you know, I felt like I've always had this communication thing, you know. I remember when I was like, I got a really good faculty of memory, pretty strong memory. I remember being like 3 or 4 years old and going to a kid's birthday party. And it was, oh, hey, Marco's here. And people are happy to see me. And I was like, I was socially anxious. I was like, oh, these are my friends. I know them all. But something about the new environment or something. It was like this playhouse, these kids' fun houses where they got like the slides and little ball pools. And something just like, it felt so overwhelming to me. And like, I felt socially anxious, you know. I felt like, I was scared even to talk to my friend. I don't know why. It's weird. I had this memory from when I was like 3, 4 years old. So it goes back as far as I can remember. I mean, it's improved a lot in recent years. You know, I've actively read about like human psychology, communication patterns. What's that one book? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Read that.
Carnegie. Yeah, I've delved into loads of these things and studied it, and it's improved. But my default mode is just like socially anxious sometimes, despite what I've learned or trained or how much meditation I do. Like, it just comes to me. So part of it is just acceptance as well.
Yeah, I think it's like everyone can have their social side and their non-social side.
Yeah.
And we all know that we kind of have two characters within us.
True.
Sometimes one character is turned on to like, all right, let's be social.
True.
Let's kind of act a certain way. Other
Yeah.
times, okay, I don't want to see a single face.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm ready to lock myself up. And I think it's just a different lens, different times, different days,
Yeah, true. I've definitely had my periods of like, okay, like for some reason I'm just super sociable and like talking to everyone all the time. Like maybe it's the summer heat or something, but I'm just going, oh, hey dude, I'm making friends everywhere, left, right and center. But like 90% of the time that's not my mode,
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Based on people who are feeling like a misfit right now, what is your advice to them on no longer feeling like a misfit that is abnormal?
Just it's okay. It's acceptance, acceptance of feeling like that's important, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
How did you love yourself?
I don't know if I do love myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
But I don't know. It seems I do.
You seem like it, but why would you say you don't?
Because I'm not sure what love is exactly.
Really?
Obviously, there's like emotional love, or romantic love is the common thing that people talk about. But self-love, I think it's action-based. Action, caring for ourselves. Yeah, I definitely care for myself, take care of myself. I probably do love myself. Maybe I'm just like playing devil's advocate on that.
Yeah. I think you definitely do.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, man.
I think it's practical, doing practical things to care for myself. What is good for me, what is good for my health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and actively doing those things, and being true to who I am. I've always felt like or been a misfit or felt like a misfit, and I've suffered for it at times, just for doing things that are normal, like even being a kid and getting robbed because I look slightly different, or getting punched at high school because like alternative or something, just walking, and these things happen. So I feel like in small ways I've suffered for it, but I'm not in that anymore. So I can like accept this is who I am, and I've gone through that, so I can own that I am like this. People might perceive me as different or a misfit in some ways, but I think a lot of people are attracted to that as well. I think
so too, because I think everyone has it in some way or another.
True.
And
so I think it's important to embrace our our uniquenesses or our differences. So by accepting it, we can embrace it, and go into that. Go into that. Yeah. Don't be scared to be that. Be true to it.
That's why I think you love yourself.
Yeah.
So.
I'm very, someone described me a long time ago as very unapologetically myself,
Yeah.
I think despite the resistance to how I've wanted or how I've naturally tried to be, despite that resistance, I've always stayed true and be like, no, I'm going to be like this, whether it's been with my parents, whether it's been with friends or peers or anywhere. I've just been myself, or in confrontation as well. I've not been scared to speak the truth and be like, no, I think this is wrong,
That's powerful. Yeah. Well, dude, Marco, thank you so much for your time. I mean, this is, I hope, life-changing for people, because I have felt like a misfit.
True. Thanks.
You have felt that too. And I feel like somebody watching this is going to get something out of this, in the sense of like, well, I may not be like Marco. I may not be like Logan, but I am myself.
Exactly.
So, man, dude, you're the man.
Thanks, Logan.
More to come.
Legend.
And another day.
Legend, bro.
Cheers.
Thanks.